The time my online date stabbed my air mattress while I was sleeping. So, in 2018, I just got out of a relationship, which was my fault, so after a month, I got on online dating, which I sucked at. As a bartender, something about trying to get my real-life charisma into a nice guy shitty message is complicated. So, I met this woman online. She was interested, and so was I. She was a beautiful redhead. So I invited her over. Plan was cook dinner, watch some TV. Who knows what happens later? She was a rebound. So she comes over. First thing, she didn't like her profile pic. She was a redhead but looked like that chubby hipster who drinks a mocha frap in a corner. Well, she is already here. I'm not going to kick her out. That's rude. So I start cooking dinner. Spaghetti, and we are talking. Red flags start popping off. Even though we are drinking. As a bartender, I'm used to listening in on specific details. Well, the lights were going off. She started talking about how her last BF was several years earlier. Even though she was not the best looking girl, she was decent enough to get a guy. So what's wrong? Well, she got dumped because she tried killing her boyfriend's dog out of jealousy. Because he gave his dog walks. Dinner was done, and she moved on to us. She is talking like we have been together forever about how she would move to an apartment across the street. Meaning if she was staring out her window, she would always see me leave and know where I'm at. I started freaking out. But not to be rude, she is a guest. I am not going to kick her out. So we eat. The conversation gets worse. Sorry, I don't remember much, cuz at this point, the room may as well be flashing red, and I'm drinking and thinking, oh shit, she's in my house. So we start watching that Ted Bundy show with Zac Efron. It just came out days earlier, if that gives you a time frame. We are sitting there watching, and she is trying to grab my fingers to hold her hand, hinting at what she wants. But I was stroking my hand. That makes it worse. I turn to her, and I tell her, listen, I just got out of a relationship. I apologize. I just don't do rebounds. I've had a good time tonight. I don't want to give you the wrong idea. I am heading to bed soon. I have to be up for work in a few hours. You're more than welcome to stay. Now you're right. I'm dumb. I left her alone in my living room, you're right. I had no idea how to handle this because it was a first. So I passed out. I had this air mattress my stepdad gave me a year prior. The damn thing was excellent. I never had to blow it up again. I woke up. Everything was cramped up because I was sleeping halfway on the floor. I found a knife stuck inside. She stabbed my bed for revenge. I went into the living room. The front door was cracked open. Nothing else was missing. She had me blocked on Facebook entirely. I never heard from her again. I had 2 more dating adventures till I met my fiancé right after. No more online dating for me. Fuck that. I stopped talking to a woman I loved over something small and petty, and I don't regret it. Years ago, I met this woman. She had a child. Didn't matter. Look-wise, it's a wise total package. Sex total package. We stayed about 3 hours away in different cities, but it didn't matter. I drive trucks for a living, and whenever I was close to her, she would always find a way to see me. Everything was good with her, physically, and she seemed like the wife type. However, it will come out when people have a specific flaw, no matter how hard they try to hide it. Here, she was insecure and overreacted immediately whenever she felt I did something. And it wouldn't be overreacting like getting into an argument. It would be a slight tick for tack stuff. The first time it happened was when we spent a night together in a hotel in her area. Throughout the night, she kept trying to wake me up. I kept going back to sleep since I had to be well rested for the next day. Anyway, I woke up and she already left. I texted her what's up. She said I was being mean and blowing her off when she tried to wake me up, which made her feel away. After some back and forth of me telling her how silly and immature she sounds, a few months older than me, she then pivots to her reason: she needed to pick her son up. Eventually we get past it, but I make a mental note. Fast forward a couple of months later, we were texting constantly, and one time, I stopped replying for a few hours. Like I said, I drive trucks. Once I reply, I don't get one back. Then I went on my Snapchat and saw she deleted me. Again, I hit her up, asking what was up. She tells me she felt like I didn't have enough time for her if I could go that long without speaking to her. After some back and forth, we reconciled again. But this was a reoccurring issue, her deleting me off her Snap or not replying after I texted back late, and I told her it was unacceptable. It eventually led to us not speaking anymore and taking a break from each other. Fast forward to the spring of last year, and we reconnected. This time with news for both. We both had children during our time of not speaking. It was no love lost. Life goes on. and people don't wait for you. Cool. We both understand. It was just a conversation of us catching up. However, I did question her how exactly she got pregnant because as long as I've known her, she has been on birth control. She told me it was time to get off of it. I remember her explaining this to me when we were still dating and how the date was coming up soon. Once she did, she immediately got pregnant during a one-night stand. She says the guy is a POS and another bum like her first baby daddy. This, according to her, made her get her tubes tied this time. After speaking again for a few weeks, we started talking again. Being completely honest with each other still, as that was never an issue. We see each other again, and everything is like it used to be. We then made plans to be together again, and I told her I would move her and her kids down to DFW. Months go by, and then one day, while I am texting, I forget to reply while watching my baby and feeding him. Once I answered, she didn't. Old habits. Hers never went away. I texted her again the next day and explained that she and I had nothing else to discuss if she didn't stop herself from doing that. There is no life to plan. She replies telling me, "Don't talk to her like that." Then tells me I'm essentially disrespecting her by giving her an ultimatum. Then, she shifts back to lying, claiming she only didn't reply because she was at work. But we know the real reason, especially since she mentioned my not texting back for a few hours in the convo. Ultimately, this ended up being the end of us. I walked away from a woman I loved. A woman who was the total package I ever wanted, all because I felt disrespected and knew she was playing games with me and not willing to fix it. Even though the issue was minor and petty. And I don't regret it at all. I may never find a woman I'm that physically compatible with again, and I'm perfectly okay with it because I stood on my principles. I say all of this just to say standing up for yourself and calling people out on their bullshit is a highly liberating feeling. No matter if it means some people walk out of your life. I would instead that then bite my tongue just to keep them around. Young and oh so dumb. I grew up in Western Pennsylvania in the 1980s. Back then, homosexuality was still firmly in the closet, and the only openly gay / well-known gay men were Elton John and Liberace. Both were, how shall I put this, very striking. So that's how I imagine gay people, as the most ridiculous, over-the-top, obvious stereotype. Anyway, I joined the Navy in the early 1990s and got sent to Oakland, California, across the bay from San Fran. It's my first duty station, and I know nothing about living independently, so I didn't leave the base for the first 3 weeks. Finally, some guys I made friends with told me we were going to the city, SF, that weekend. We got a hotel downtown in some huge place that took up the whole city block. But around back, in the basement of the hotel, accessible only through the parking garage, is a club called Palladium. I'm 19 but have a fake ID, so we get in quickly. And as soon as I walk in, IT is nothing but women. Wall to wall, females. I think, OMG. Great! They're pretty girls everywhere. So I go to the bar for a drink, my friends head off to play pool in the back, and I flirt with everyone. I hoped it would go differently. After an hour, I've got nothing but sour looks, nasty comments, or outright told to F off. Am I dressed differently? I am dressed like a kid from Pittsburgh, not a slacker / grunge guy from the West Coast. Is it my haircut? Does my breath stink? Maybe I'm being too aggressive? Then, next to me, I hear, "You're in the Navy, aren't you?" says a strange girl. "Yeah," I said. "Is it that obvious?" "It's obvious you're an idiot. It's a gay bar." Suddenly, the world becomes very small, and I feel very self-conscious. I mean, I guess the girls dancing are dancing close. And well, they do have a lot of short haircuts and tattoos, but that's just normal for SF, right? Right. I turn around and look to the back at the two friends who brought me here, and they are laughing their asses off, knowing that the woman next to me finally clued me in. So yeah, my first night in San Fran, I spent an hour trying to pick up a club full of lesbians. I was naive. Share your thoughts in the comments and follow for more interesting stories.